Howdy, folks. I'm wallowing Western Tail Blue, woefully weeping over wet Wonder Bread.
I'm Amber.
And here's more wet Wonder Bread for us to weep over. And who wouldn't weep over wet Wonder Bread? I mean, that sounds very soggy and disappointing.
It does. It does.
Let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My 6-year-old nephew that he is not special, after he told me he can do and get what he wants because everyone calls him special? For some context, he is the first and only grandchild so far, and probably will be the only grandchild unless my sister has more kids. Yes, he is an only child, and everyone spoils him rotten. I don't have much engagement with him since I live in a different state. Recently, I went to visit my family. One weekend was supposed to go with my sister and nephew to indoor/playground arcades, but something came up on her end, so I offered to take my nephew since we did plan to make a day off. She agreed, and overall it was a lot of fun. He was fine the entire day, didn't fuss or anything like that. My mom asked if I could pick up her order from Target. It was in the arena. My mom was in the arena. We're going into the Thunderdome with a child. My mom asked if I could pick up her order from Target. It was in the area, so I said sure. Order was not ready, so we killed some time walking around. Apparently, this was a grave mistake. I was unaware that my sister gets him whatever he wants whenever he wants it. She does very well for herself. He showed me a Nerf gun that he wanted. I commented on it and said that it was cool. He did not ask for it or anything, and he still had it in his hand. I did not think much of it in the moment since I did the same thing as a kid, and when it was time, I would leave it at the counter. My mom's order was done, and we went to pick it up, and he fully expected me to buy it. I told him that I wasn't going to buy it for him, and maybe he could ask his mom for it next time. I offered to take a picture so that he could show his mom exactly what he wanted. But this is when he told me that his mom would not mind. She always gets him what he wants because he's special, and special people get whatever they want. In this context, I kind of get that in hindsight, from a kid's point of view, no one really tells him no. I told him that I was not everyone else, and I had no intention of buying him anything at the store. He doubled down and started fussing, telling me that I had to listen to him because he was the kid and he was special. That is when I told him that he is no more special or unique to anyone else. He was still giving me a hard time. During that time, my mom called. I picked up and I shouted that I would not buy what he wants. My mom told me to stop being so cheap and just to buy it. I started to get embarrassed and very uncomfortable. I had no idea how to handle the situation, so I bought it because we were making a scene. And I don't have much experience with kids. When we got home, I explained the situation to my mom and sister, and they were not pleased. My sister told me that she does not believe in telling a child no. They also were mad that I did not reaffirm that he was special because he should be the most special person to me. He is a gift, such and such. My sister struggled to have kids. Edit, sorry for long posts and typos. On mobile and autocorrect can be weird. I know in the end that I caved through, which is what just reinforced his behavior anyways. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, aside from the caving, no, I don't think OP was in the wrong. OP was in a bad situation, had no idea what they were getting themselves into, and I can understand just wanting to get out of the store. But unfortunately, it does reinforce the idea that he can just throw a tantrum and get what he wants. And someone in his life does need to tell him that he is not the boss of everyone else and cannot always get what he wants. It's one thing to tell kids that they're unique. Everyone is their own unique person, but he is not more special than anyone else. Every person has inherent worth, but he has the same inherent worth as everyone else. And being a child and an only child does not mean he should be bossing everyone around.
Yeah, everyone is special in their unique way. And that's what's really important to let kids know. Now, being special and being unique doesn't mean that you get anything that you want every single time you want it, right? And that kind of attitude is just going to cause the kid to become spoiled. And what's going to happen when he's an adult and has to learn how to fend for himself?
Yeah, well, the problem is he's already spoiled. That much is very clear.
I mean, he sounds like a kid from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory stereotype. I want it and I want it now. Which one was that? I don't remember. It was the girl. But yeah, someone who's never told no does not turn out well. And that's really what it boils down to. He needs to be told no so that he gets used to it. What's going to happen when he goes to school? and he was being told no. He's going to be a nightmare.
Right. Well, and imagine his mom telling the teacher, well, we don't believe in telling kids no, so you just have to do what he wants. Like, that's not going to fly.
Yeah. And what happens when he's an adult and he's in a relationship or something like that, right? And he's never been told no by people. How entitled is he going to be to other people and other people's, bodies and whatnot too, right? I mean, this can cause a lot of different things, and maybe this is hyperbole, I don't know, but I feel like it can definitely go down that kind of road where somebody who's never told no could feel very entitled to whatever they want, including other people's bodies. And that really concerns me and worries me. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And AxFet says, I don't believe in telling kids no. What is wrong with your sister? And OP replies, our parents never told her no either. She was always the baby girl. Well, I guess that panned out well for her. And Expensive Plant 9530 says, in his 6-year-old logic, this makes sense because it's what he was taught. But if this isn't corrected soon, he's going to learn very quickly that he can actively manipulate people in this way. You're the jerk for giving in. You went through all the hassle and didn't even teach the kid a lesson. Next time, don't even entertain it. Say no and take him out of the store. Kids will try to get away with as much as they can, but you have to keep them in check. Also, you didn't need to tell him that he wasn't special. Just a firm no. You can ask your mom for it later. And OP replies, he was struggling, and I didn't feel comfortable dragging him or forcing him out in that state. Not my kid, and God forbid if I hurt or bruised him, or he hurt himself by struggling. I have very limited experience with kids, and I just did not feel comfortable using force to get him out. I did tell him no first, and offered to take him a picture so that he could show his mother what he wanted. This is when he started to make a scene. And Euphoric Zucchini 18 says, you're the jerk for caving and buying a toy. You should have stuck to your original no. And OP replies, in hindsight, I should have, but I wanted out of there, and he was really making a scene. Then when I picked up my mom's call, it just got worse. I felt like all eyes were on me, and I didn't feel comfortable using force or just leaving him because he was acting, and I could see him stay. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, am I a jerk for locking the office fridge after someone kept stealing my lunch? I'm a 34-year-old male and I work in a small office with about 10 people. We share a communal kitchen, including one fridge. Over the past month, my lunch has been stolen 5 times. Not just random snacks, entire homemade meals I bring in from home, gone without a trace. It's not just frustrating, it's expensive, and it messes up my day. I mentioned it a couple of times in the group chat, like, hey, someone's been taking my lunches, please stop. Everyone ignored it, or sent vague messages like, that's terrible, or some people are the worst, but nobody took responsibility. So I bought a mini fridge and I put it under my desk. Nothing fancy, just enough to hold my meal and a drink. I also put a little lock on it for just an extra peace of mind. Since then, no more stolen lunches. Well, last Friday, one of my coworkers, I'll call her Dana, a 29-year-old female, confronted me during lunch and said that it was weird and selfish that I had a personal fridge. She said that it made me look paranoid and not part of the team. I said that I was tired of my food being stolen, and this was the only solution that worked. She said that I should have just bought stuff that I wouldn't have cared about losing, like snacks or microwave meals, if I was so worried. A couple of others have now made little comments like, don't let him see your lunch, he might lock it up, or, we get it, you're special. I'm starting to feel like the weirdo in the office just for protecting my stuff. Am I the jerk for locking up my lunch instead of letting this keep happening? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk, and I think we know who's stealing your lunch. Like,
Dana?
Yeah, well, Dana and maybe also these other coworkers. Like, I don't know if it's even just one person, if they're all getting in on it, but yeah, since Dana was the instigator, my instinct is she is upset that she can no longer steal OP's lunches.
I mean, it does come across that way, right? It's kind of one of those you smelt it, you dealt it type of deals where, she mentions it. It's probably her who was stealing the lunches. I can understand the resentment of seeing your coworker with their own little mini fridge and then maybe feeling like they are trying to not be part of the team or something like that. And if OP had done this without any kind of motivation behind it, I could see it coming across that way. But OP's been very kind and generous and patient with these people, and they just got fed up with it and bought their own refrigerator to keep their food safe, right?
Well, that's the thing is OP has tried repeatedly to talk to these people and explain, hey, can we just stop stealing my lunch? And they've just dismissed OP.
Yeah.
And so At this point in time, like the coworkers, like again, like you said, if Opie had come into the office with a locked mini fridge, I could understand people like having some uncomfortable vibes about that, like, oh, he's assuming we're thieves.
Yeah.
But there literally is a thief in their midst.
Yeah, and no one's doing anything about it.
Oh, it's too bad. Sorry, man. It's
Yeah.
like that's not helping with Opie's stolen lunches.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Worried Cucumber says, not the jerk, it sounds like Dana is hangry now that she doesn't have a free lunch. And Opie replies, guess some people really miss the mystery buffet that I was unknowingly providing. And Blue Being 22 says, the person who is not part of the team is the one who is stealing lunches. You're not paranoid. There is actually a thief in your mix. That's a fact. You just took care of the problem is all. Everyone who has comment can just get over it. And Cats and Dogs 314 says, it's not paranoia if it's true. Dana told on herself by confronting OP, guaranteed that no one else cared about the fridge OP bought with his own money. Dana should be ashamed of herself. Maybe if other people had their lunches stolen, management would actually do something about it. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Reporting My Sister's Boyfriend to His Job After He Pranked Me with Fake Eviction Papers? Throwaway count because my sister follows my main. Okay, so this blew up way more than I expected, and now my sister is mad at me. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I live in an apartment complex that my dad owns. I pay reduced rent, but still have a legal lease. I have a contract, etc. I work a full-time job, and I handle my own bills, so it's not like I'm just mooching off my dad. Just wanted to help me save while I get through grad school. For some context, I'm in my second year of a master's program in social work. I work part-time at a crisis shelter, and honestly, things have been stressful. A lot of what I do is literally helping people avoid eviction, so that might help explain why this hit so hard. My sister, Emma, a 28-year-old female, has been dating Nick, a 30-year-old male. Fake names for obvious reasons. For about a year, he's been one of those guys who thinks that he's the funniest person in the room, but mostly just makes people uncomfortable. Weird jokes that aren't tasteful, pranks, and he thinks of himself as an alpha male type. Trust me, I wish I was kidding. Well, he has done stupid pranks in the past too. One time, he swapped out his coworker's decaf coffee for regular as a joke, and the guy had a full-on panic episode at work. Apparently, he has a heart condition. The man reported him to HR, and Nick just laughed it off and said that everyone was just too sensitive, and that it was a harmless prank. Not sure why HR didn't do more, seeing that his coworker had a literal health condition that could have been worsened by his harmless prank. Well, Nick came over a few weeks ago while my sister was helping me move some furniture. I left them alone in my living room for maybe 10 minutes while I ran to get a coffee for all of us. When I had come back with our drinks, Emma and Nick went quiet. I was a little concerned, but my sister said that it was nothing. Emma and I were moving this ridiculously heavy dresser that my grandma had gifted to me, and Nick made a comment like, if you just got off your lazy butts, you wouldn't have to take people's leftovers. I looked at my sister and I was shocked. She just told him to knock it off, and he shrugged and he went off into the living room. Well, a couple of days later, I went to check my mail and I see an envelope in my mailbox. It's an official notice of eviction. That looked pretty convincing. My heart stopped. I thought that maybe I had missed some clause in the lease or something had happened to my dad. I started to freak out and I was crying. I called my dad in a panic. He was just as confused and asked me to send some pictures. He said that he didn't know anything about it and hadn't authorized anything like that. For a while, I honestly thought about all sorts of possibilities. Maybe some stalker or some random jerk found out where I lived and was trying to scare me, or maybe there was some kind of error. But something that I noticed when I inspected the letter again, I had seen that it was sent out by the same company that Nick works for. Well, a day or two later, I brought it up when I was getting drinks with my sister and Nick, going along with a few mutual friends of ours. The second that I mentioned the envelope and my worry that someone could be messing with me, I noticed that Nick was starting to act a little bit weird. He stopped making eye contact and engaging in conversation, and started fidgeting with his phone. My sister also had gone quiet. I kept thinking about that moment in my apartment and how odd it was, plus the company that had served me matching up with Nick's job, and how surprisingly unfazed Emma was when I told her about the eviction notice. Eventually, I had to pull her aside from the rest of the group and I asked her if Nick had anything to do with it. After some hesitation, she admitted that it was him. According to my sister, she didn't agree with it, and Nick thought that the prank would be funny. Like a, take this as a lesson not to rely on daddy's help forever. He apparently thought that he was being funny and giving me some motivation. I was shocked nonetheless. I was mad at my sister for even letting it go on, and Nick for being so insensitive. Who in the right mind would find this funny? Which is ridiculous, again, because I pay rent, I work, and my dad offered the apartment to me because I help manage the property when he's out of town. Here's the part that really angered me. Nick had known that I had been struggling. He heard me talk to my sister about burnout, about feeling overwhelmed with work and school. He literally sat across from me at dinner while I vented about my clients at the shelter being scared of eviction. This is where I might be a bit of a jerk. Nick works in property management, like it's literally his job to handle leases, evictions, inspections, etc. So this wasn't some random prank. He had used actual template formatting from his company to make it look real. I was livid, and my dad was too. After thinking about it for some time, I reported him to his company's ethics hotline. I sent them photos and explained what had happened. Well, they took it seriously, and he was fired for inappropriate use of power and other pranks, for example, that he had done. Now my sister and Nick are blaming it on me. My sister is saying that I ruined his career over a joke. My mom is begging me to apologize because he was just trying to be funny, and Nick has anxiety now. I get that maybe I should have yelled at him or confronted him directly, but honestly I was worried if I hadn't reported him, what other pranks he could have done using his job as a dumb joke. He had given me a severe panic attack with his prank, and it made me question my housing stability. And forged documents that looked extremely real, just to prove a point, all while knowing that I was struggling. Now my mom and sister are saying that I took it too far and made it a quote-unquote work thing. My brother did take my side, saying, if you hadn't done it, then I would have. And he agrees that Nick took this too far. I just want this whole thing to be over. And dealing with this nonsense from my family, plus my school/work life, has really taken a toll on me. I just want to know if I'm being ridiculous or not, thinking that reporting him was a mistake. Thank you for listening, and hopefully not too long of a ramble. I just need some advice here. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. Absolutely not the jerk. I mean, I think what he was doing was very, very inappropriate, and it could be very bad for the company if he does this to the wrong person. You know, I mean, he should never have been using company to do, like, first of all, this is not some harmless prank. Everyone trying to brush it off and be like, oh, he has anxiety. What does he think this is doing to people? Like, OP legitimately thought that she was losing her housing, and he knew this was a big fear of hers. And so his behavior is entirely inappropriate, and his work deserved to know that he was misusing company resources.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where there really is no excuse for what he did. He abused his position of power, he misused paperwork that was official, and he could have put the company in deep legal trouble because, again, this has company logos, it has everything on it. What happens when OP's dad investigates this and, tries to get to the bottom of it? Like, OP's dad could probably sue them, and his apartment complex could sue them for, inappropriately, sending out an eviction notice, right?
Yeah.
So I think that OP did the sensible thing to report him because he's clearly not a trustworthy person, and he can't be trusted to not abuse the power of his position. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What street do ice cream cones traverse?
Oh, I can tell you what street ice cream cones traverse. They traverse the street that happens to be my esophagus as they climb down the ladder to my belly.
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road works really well too. Much better than the esophagus thing that I've come up with.
And today is National Chocolate Ice Cream Day and also National Black Bear Day.
Ooh, go find yourself some chocolate blackberry ice cream and eat it. I assure you it'll be delicious. And I have a special guest tea today. This one is called China Green Tea Tips, and it's also another one from Tao. So, renew with fresh tasting, spring harvested green teas from China. That's what it has to say. And its ingredients are spring harvested green teas. So they aren't kidding, folks. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on unfunny pranks.
don't do pranks that could really scare people. Like, if you're gonna joke with someone, make sure it's something that everyone, including the person being pranked, is going to find funny.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!